It is February 10th, 2020, and I'm here in Dallas, Texas, about to speak on a panel with some amazing real estate agents. We're going to talk about how we got started in real estate, the obstacles we have faced, and the opportunities that are to come. I'm so glad y'all get to be a part of this. My name's Payton. I'm 19 years old. I got started in real estate as soon as I could when I turned 18. My entire family is very entrepreneurial. I have a background in speech and debate and was doing speech and debate and competing for almost 5 years, doing that, traveling all over the United States, speaking, and did that through high school. And also through high school, I started my first company when I was 13 and did about $36,000 in sales at 13, fixing and flipping phones. So I took the same principles I did when I was, when I was 13, 14 years old, flipping phones, and brought that to real estate. And so I started a media company and started building that. I have my videographer here working on all of that and building a YouTube channel, social media. And that's really what I find, about myself that I love doing in real estate is kind of being extremely different. You don't see a lot of teenagers in real estate. And that's kind of how I got started, is just keeping that entrepreneurial drive, finding something that I could make a career out of, and that's why I love doing real estate.
Are you from Dallas?
I've moved 19 times. I've lived in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Washington. But I've lived in Texas the longest out of all of those.
Does your family have connections to real estate here in Dallas?
Not here in Dallas. So my grandfather, he used to develop homes in Tulsa, Oklahoma. My uncle used to be an extremely successful real estate agent in Manitoba, Canada. And within his first year, he was doing over 6 figures in real estate. And so
you have very limited, you don't have a network to step into in Dallas that you can just kind of fall into, per se.
Not really. All of the people my age and my sphere of influence are partying right now.
Yeah, a lot of your friends buying houses?
No. I have found a market in the apartment locating. But when it comes to houses, all of my sales are from networking and referrals and just working my butt off.
Your numbers, I'm not sure what they are.
Yeah, so I've been in the business selling residential real estate for less than a year, and I've had a month where I've done over $2 million in sales, 6 months in.
Ask you guys, we can start with Payton and stuff that way. What would you tell yourself from a year, 2 years ago that you could have told yourself that would have been that one piece of advice that would just propel you even further than where you're at right now?
I think having patience for me would have been the biggest thing I wish I could have just drilled into me 9 months ago, was to have patience, to wait it out, not be so worried about where I'm going to end up. Because I think the first 60 days were the hardest. And I think for any starting real estate agent, is the first, I'd say 90 days is the most difficult, because whether it's you don't get a transaction at all or you're just learning so much you don't feel like you can do your client justice. And I feel like if I could go back and tell myself one thing, it would be, Payton, have patience, learn, and learn from the people around you too. Is when I first got started, I called all of the top best agents, not even just like in Dallas, but the best agents in California, some of the best agents in New York. I got coffee with the best agents that were here just so I could learn from them. And I probably would have focused on that more, as figuring out. I did, yeah. But I also got a lot of yeses, and I'm grateful for all the yeses that I did get, of all the people that did take time. And it actually was surprising how many people did say yes. I mean, I was at the top producers party, and some of the people that were there, I had asked them, like within my first 30 days, what were the secrets? How did you make it to where you are now? And then I ran into them at the top producers party 5 months later. And a lot of them, I was like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh, hey, good to see you here.
19-year-old kid.
But having patience and sticking with it, definitely.
Do you feel you serve a particular niche?
Yeah, I think for me, I focus a lot on social media and building that. I mean, I closed my first deal in 40 days. I was working, I think from when I started, 40 days later.
You got a contract like a week after you started?
Yes. So I was working.
Did you get that contract before you started, or like?
No.
But did it come from social media?
It actually came from Facebook advertising.
Wow.
Yeah, so I jumped into it, and my first week, because I wanted to log my time of everything that I did and figure out, okay, how much time am I putting towards it? And my first week in real estate, I did over 100 hours.
What's that for you, sir?
I think as we all kind of said, is to impact and inspire. Looking forward for me, I'm building out this media company. That's a big next step. Is I am young in the business, and so just continuing to keep up the pace that I've been at. And I think one thing that he touched on, which is really important, is reading. And like in 2018, when I first got started in real estate, I was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think I read a little over a book a month in just learning about keeping my finances together. And I highly encourage reading to keep learning and to keep growing yourself, is working on yourself a lot. But for me is just to keep being diligent in what I'm doing and figuring out how I can impact and inspire other people, other agents. I really want to start like a young entrepreneur success group. Yes, because that's basically what I did. Is I said yes to being an entrepreneur. And so starting that young entrepreneur success group, that's going to come soon. Building out the media company, building out my real estate career. I've been investing since I was 15 years old, and so continue growing that portfolio. And I think that's really the direction that I see myself going into.
Did you have a job before real estate?
I had my own business, but I didn't have anything that could launch me. I just invested everything into real estate, and but my niche would be social media and building that, because I think that's the most valuable thing. Is as Zillow's coming in, as Realtor.com is coming in, they're trying to make us obsolete, basically, to where you don't need a real estate agent. You can do everything online. Apartments have already gotten to that. You can already go online and fill out a lease and never talk to a leasing agent at all. But what I think is most powerful is getting on the other side of that, is focusing on, okay, where are people spending most of their time? People spend 8 to 10 hours sometimes a day on their phones, whether it's texting, calling, doing their job. So I'm going to focus all my time on social media and focus on my time on that online presence. And then also just going out, and I wanted to work in Highland Park. So once I got to the point to where I could afford to live in that area, I literally told my parents, hey, I'm moving out. I'm going to go live where I want to work. And that's when I moved to University Park, because I knew that that's where the big money was, and I wanted to get into that market as quick as possible.
Yeah. So if you guys don't follow him on social media, on his Facebook, his LinkedIn account, his Instagram, you're probably on TikTok and Snapchat. So
Yeah.
That's not a little, but it was said laughingly because a lot of the millennials are on those things, and that's what they're seeing. And he's probably one of the best I've seen in DFW with social media marketing. It's amazing.
What's your inspiration behind that, or what's your coaching?
Yeah, so going to be completely honest, I love Ryan Serhant and watching $1 Million Listing, and I knew that they were extremely successful, and all the top real estate agents in the United States that are doing billions in sales sometimes a year, you look at them and how do they get there? And I wanted to know, how do you get to that $1 billion a year mark? And that's with their team, of course. And so all of them were HGTV, Bravo, some Oprah, whatever form of, they got on TV basically, and that's how they made it big. And so I've got a really good friend in California named John McMonagle, and he's done about $7 billion in sales in his career, and he made it big because he was on TV. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I start now? Try to build my social resume, I guess you could say, to one day, hopefully. I think that's where I want to see my career go, is either TV or finding a way to inspire other agents or young people like me and share my story.
First, what's your preferred method of communication? And second, since you've started in the industry and started your business, have you noticed a shift in how your clients like to communicate?
Instagram. I was going to say Instagram, text,
Yeah,
TikTok.
TikTok.
Actually, I've made probably about $5,000 from TikTok, from leases. So, yeah, he's actually the famous one on TikTok. He's got tens of thousands. I'm not. Oh, yeah. So we had a video that got over 7.2 million views. 7.7 million views on TikTok. that's how marketing is going towards. It's all videos. It's not still images or anything like that.
TikTok's all dancing too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
renegade.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know how many TikTok dances I know.
Quite a few, huh?
I'm not answering that question. No, JC, why don't you go ahead and teach us?
No matter what people want you to believe, don't ever turn back on your dreams. It's all in your hands.